Good afternoon, everyone. A warm welcome to all of you watching at home. For those of you I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Raquel. I'm the Customer Marketing Manager for Bhogal UK and Ireland, and I'm joined here by a very familiar face, somebody who is not only a star baker, but a social media guru, Ruby.
Thank you very much. That was far too kind tonight today, Raquel. Far too kind.
I have a script, so. I'm also joined here by somebody else you may recognise. She has just finished a position in customer care and will be moving on to a new position in our sales support team. Paige, hi. Thanks for being here, guys. So, Ruby, you were obviously a guest speaker at our conference in Glasgow in January, where you shared some really cool insights on social media and some tips and tricks. We had such great feedback from all of the people at our conference that we thought we would delve a little bit deeper, and who better to do that with than you?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So we went ahead and collected some questions from our team leaders who are all watching here today. So let's get started, shall we?
Yes, absolutely. Let's go.
So, how do you determine your demographic on social media?
So this is such a good question, and I think something that is super, super important for sales advisors and for anyone who's looking to almost create a bit more of a brand for themselves. Mm-hmm. I know, yes, the sales advisors work for Thermomix, but also what's important for them is establishing those relationships with people who are potentially going to be customers, people that are on their page, looking for information, looking for valuable content. And one of the best and most key things I could advise someone to do is change your page from a personal page to a business page. Really easy, a really quick little change to your page. If you go to your settings, you'll be able to select a business page. And from there, what that does is when you then create a post and you post it on social media, in 24 hours time, there'll be a little blue button on that post that says Insights. And that is where you'll get all of your tools and you can see how that post has performed. And then you can also delve a bit deeper into that and look at your demographic. And that's really, really important so you know yourself, who are you talking to? Yeah. Is your audience more female-based or are they male-based? Not even just that, but also what are the age ranges as well? Who is it that you're talking to? What can you appeal to them? Are you essentially your audience? And that for me, I think has been a really good, simple key in understanding, because when I look at my insights and on my page, and you can see where are they based, what country are they, what country your audience is primarily from, what times are they on Instagram as well. So you can really start to skew your content to that person. Yeah. It's essentially speaking to an avatar, I like to call it. And as long as you feel like you're talking to someone directly, it creates a bit more of a personal, authentic approach. And from what I can see on my insights, essentially, and this is very, very lucky for me, I am my audience. Yeah. It is a woman that is in her mid-30s. She lives in London. She's on the same sort of times on Instagram that I am. And so knowing that, it means now I know how I can skew my content online, which makes it really, really helpful. And you know then, hopefully, when you do come to post it, it should appeal to that person. Yeah,
that's such great advice. And you obviously have quite a huge following now, over 260,000 people, which is incredible.
Thank you.
So super well done. How do you continuously increase your engagement with so many new people?
It can be quite hard and it can be quite tricky. And in honesty, I've taken a break from social media for the past month. I've been busy working on lots of different projects. But I remember what I said, which was a real key piece of information when we were in Glasgow, is making sure that you have those boundaries. So I knew that there was only a certain amount that I could do before I had to take a step back and say, when I commit to Instagram, I like to commit and I like to make sure that I'm engaging with everyone who is also engaging back with me, and I'm creating content that is quality, not just because for the sake of it. And I will always say, make sure you choose, quality over quantity. I know Instagram at the moment is saying that they want you to post every single day, but make sure that's of some sort of content and quality for someone to be able to save it. And I think even though that I haven't posted in the past month, my following has still increased. And I think that is credit to the content that I have posted previously before. I remember speaking at Glasgow and I said, the most important thing on Instagram now isn't necessarily views on Reels, isn't necessarily how many people like it. It's now about how many people save it. And once again, if you do change over your profile over to a business profile, you'll be able to see how many people save every single post. And that's super important, because you get to then, when you start to analyze your posts, and you can kind of see that worked really well, this didn't really work really well. People want content. People want something that's valuable to them to save. So it could be a recipe, for instance. It could be a hack on the TM6. It could be, this is how you can tweak a favourite recipe. Maybe it's the Portuguese bread, but there's like a little tweak that you've made to it. Something like that someone can save and go back to is super important.
Yeah.
And I've seen that even though I haven't posted in the past month, my content is still being liked, even though I haven't been engaging in there for the past month. So that is a credit to the sort of content that you're pushing out on there.
Yeah.
What I had this little cheeky chat with someone at Meta, which I'll share with you guys gladly, because I also wanted to understand, if I am investing my time in posting on social media, what is it should I be doing? Because we all know it can be so disheartening when you think you've made this killer reel and you think, I've nailed it, guys. I'm going to go viral. This is it. This is my moment. And you post it and it goes to like one person, it's my mum, and you're like, this is the worst day of my life. And it can be so disheartening when you spend so much time. So I had a little chat with someone at Meta to understand, what is it, especially from a food sense, what can we do to make sure that it is being seen not even just by our audience, but by organic reach? Because it's all fair and well people in your own audience seeing that, but also you want to start being approachable by people that don't follow you. You might want to get on the explore page. You might want to reach someone else who doesn't know about Thermomix just yet. And so for them, the top tips at the moment is, yes, they want you to post every single day. They want you to be posting stories every single day. And the number of stories that they are saying that you should post is 6.
Wow, okay.
So that's 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and 2 in the evening. When you are posting on Instagram, they want you to reply to every single comment. So make sure you hit like, make sure you reply back. Even it could just be someone saying, this is great, just say, yeah, fantastic. Even if it's someone trolling you and saying, this is awful, say, yeah, thanks, great. Thanks for your feedback, because you're increasing my engagement.
Sure.
Even if it's one of those spammy messages that are like, I'll give you £5,000. Just hit like and just put a heart next to it. It just helps with that engagement.
Yeah.
But what they also want you to do is make sure that you're using trending sounds. So not even just, when I'm creating a reel, I would normally go and select my music and would select something from the For You page bit. But they are different websites on Google which will tell you what the trending music on Instagram are for that week. So if you hit that trend as well, and you be able to get onto a trending audio, you'll see that your growth should increase just by that alone.
Amazing.
So TikTok is very much about jumping on a trend that might be a dance or like a voiceover, or this is, POV, this is what happened to me. Instagram isn't necessarily about that, but it is about making sure that you are utilizing all the tools in there that they have. They want you to be editing your video and your reel in Instagram. They don't want to see any videos that have watermarks of a different social media app. They want you to be using that app to edit your reels, that app to choose your music choice, and then when it comes to putting your caption onto your post, that is super important. So there you're now using Instagram as something called SEO, which is search engine optimization. So what you put in your caption is super important. So make sure you're very descriptive about what you're including in that post. If it is a recipe, make sure you're including the name of that recipe. Make sure you're saying it is a recipe. Don't just leave a blank caption post, because that is super important. Then when it comes to hashtags, yes, some people think it's cringy putting hashtags in there, but it's just helping your growth. So once upon a time, they would say max out the amount of hashtags you could use, which was 30. Now they're saying use 3 to 5, and then that's it. But making sure it's super descriptive. So there's loads of different tools that you can use, but it's just about being slightly more savvy with what you're doing and making sure that it works, not just for you, but also for Instagram too, because you want to make sure what you're putting out there is also worth your time.
Yeah, 100% accurate. And you post quite a lot of interesting content, and you post quite a lot of obviously food content.
Yeah.
But how do you, and you've mentioned a little bit about this, but how do you deal with negativity?
So I think I'm very, very blessed, and I feel very lucky to say that I think 99% of the comments that I get on my social media are very, very positive. And I take a lot of joy from that, because social media can be a very negative space for some people. And I feel very fortunate that Instagram is just not that space for me. I feel very much like I've created a very healthy environment, but that has taken time, and that has taken effort, and that's taken and work. So when I say engage with people that are messaging on your posts, really take the time to engage with them, because they're becoming your community that you can rely on. When something negative has happened, a lot of the times if there's a negative comment left, I won't even need to respond to it because someone else has already replied for me. And that's what you want. You want that support network around you. And so whilst negative comments will come and go here and there, there's a little nifty trick called just delete the comment. No one will even know. It's fine. And also just delete it from your mind. I think social media has given people this comfort bubble that they can say whatever they want to say and nothing's going to hurt
Anonymity.
them. And, you know, people also then forget that there's also someone else behind that phone that is having to look at that message. And I think the more that you can become a bit more thick-skinned with it and just think this is more of a reflection of them as it is of me, the better placed you are for social media. Because of course not everyone is going to like you. You're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. But as long as you're your own cup of tea, and as long as you're happy with who you are and what you're putting out there, it's fine. Everyone's going to have an opinion. You can't please everyone. Just delete it. It's fine. Delete it from the page, delete it from your mind, and it's fine.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's great advice, to be quite honest. You post quite a lot of content, and obviously you've just taken a break now, but how far in advance do you plan your content?
So I think also another key thing that Instagram is really pushing at the moment is series.
Yep.
And so if you're planning like a series of, from a sales advisor point of view, maybe it's a series of quick breakfasts in the morning, or it could be quick, easy meals to make for your family when you come back home from work. Or in this series, you know, maybe it's you've got a baby and you're showing how to use a Thermomix to make baby food. You can create a series, and then you can create that sort of content far in advance. So I will flip between having content that's been sitting in my bank for probably about 2-3 weeks to ones that are a lot more reactive. So for instance, I've just created a series that I'm going to be posting, and I've had recipes honestly since before I went on my break. So like I could have posted it like probably a month ago, but I'll probably end up posting it just tonight. So you can create something like that, but then also you have to also be slightly more reactive. So when it's like Easter, or when there's like Mother's Day, or when there's, you know, certain events that happen throughout the year you can plan for. But when there's certain trends that pop up out of nowhere and you think, oh, actually I can hop on that trend, you have to be slightly more reactive to it. So you have to have the best of both worlds, unfortunately, for it to work. But at the same time, just make it work for yourself. Because like I said, there are life events that happen, or occasions that happen. We've got the King's coronation coming up soon. What can you get done for that? You know, you've got a few weeks in advance for that. So just plan out your schedule and your content as much as possible, just so it's less stress when it comes to doing it. Because the reactive stuff can be slightly stressful. When you miss that, you know, that mark of posting, and you just think, oh crumbs, I've missed it now. Like that's it, it's gone. Yesterday I said to myself I was going to post, and then it went past 8:30, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do it now. I'm not doing it now. I still get the fear, you know. I haven't posted in a month, and I just think now I'm like, oh my God, how do I come back to social media? But it's fine. I think as long as you realise it's your page and you can handle it how you want to, just make it work for yourself. Yeah,
definitely. And how much time do you generally dedicate a week to your social media? Because obviously, if you're planning, you have to have quite a good work-life balance, I can imagine. So, yeah, how much time do you dedicate to this?
It's hard, Raquel, and I'll be honest, I don't have much balance in my life. I think, honestly, I think it's because of my job, not just on social media stuff, but because I'm mostly always developing recipes. I think if I'm in the kitchen and I'm making something, I might as well record it. There's no point it going to waste. Yes, it's a bit more of a faff. Yes, you know, just during this past month, but I've taken some time off. I kid you not, there were times when I was pulling out recipes, like 5 recipes a day, and I was like, oh my God, Rubes, you can get so much done. Like if you're not filming every single thing, like you're killing it. But then the minute I introduce a camera to it, I'll probably go down to like 2 recipes a day, because it does take a bit more time. But if you're doing it anyway, you might as well film it. And then it's just natural, organic content that you can then use. Otherwise, it's just going to waste. It could be something, you know, Raquel, I love showing my failures on social media because I feel like it just shows me, and it shows who I really am, and it shows the reality of a kitchen. So yeah, even if, you know, you're developing a recipe in the Thermomix or the TM6 and it hasn't gone right, or, you know, something's gone wrong in your day, don't shy away from showing that, because I think that's what everyone is looking for on social media. They're looking for relatable content. They're looking
100%.
for that connection. They're looking for someone that they can relate to and be like, oh, actually, that happens to me too.
Yeah.
And so if you're doing something, if you're making a recipe, just prop your camera up, have it on film. You can edit it. There's a really easy app that I use called Splice. You can download that from whatever app store what phone you've got, and it just helps you cut little segments from that video and put it together into a quick reel. Amazing. And I just think you're doing it anyway. Just use what you've got, so you can help with that work-life balance, because before you know it, you're out of sync. And
100%, especially with being an advisor, a work-life balance is one of the key
super
parts,
important.
right? So it's, you know, it's a lot. It's the main reason why a lot of our advisors and our team leaders have joined us is for their flexibility. So it's great advice. And you speak a lot about Reels, and obviously Reels is one of your biggest things that you post. What advice would you give to people watching who are interested in getting into Reels but are a bit cautious about it?
Oh, I completely was there once upon a time. I remember when Reels was first becoming a thing, and I was like, oh no, I've just about mastered how to post a picture. Like, how am I now going to move on to editing a video, which then can't be too long because people don't watch it, but then also can't be too short that people don't get any value from it. And I remember I was going on holiday, and it was for my birthday, and I spent my one whole day in Greece just on this app, just trying to study it to be like, how on earth do I use it? And I thought, I have made a killer video, guys. This is so good. And I watched it back and I was like, this is awful.
Is this the one your mum watched?
Yes, this is the one that my mum watched. And I spent a whole day on holiday trying to understand how to use this app. And that app was Splice that I've told you about. And it is actually very simple. I think I was overcomplicating it in my head. The more that you overthink it, the longer it's going to take. But all you essentially want are little snapshots. People don't necessarily want to sit there and watch a reel that, you know, is over 2 minutes long. The joy, and I say the joy because there's also a pain of social media, is that things are quite quick. Things are very digestible, and you want something that is going to get someone's attention straight away. And this is what I'm going back to when I was talking to the lady from Meta, when she said when it comes to food content, what's super important in those first few moments, in the first few seconds of your reel, it should be something really enticing and something really engaging. So a moving shot of the final dish perhaps that you've made. Or if you're doing like a POV, this is my day as a sales advisor, you know, what's the most funnest part of that day? Like create that snapshot right at the very start so people know what they're watching. Yeah. And that's super important. I think anyone who is looking to get into Reels, understand what is it that you're trying to get across first and foremost. If it is a recipe, make sure that you're just taking little segments from it. It doesn't have to be long, it doesn't have to be onerous. It just has to give people that taste for the sort of content that you're providing on your page. Yeah. And you want to then also make sure that your content on your page has some sort of similarity with each other. You want to make sure that there's consistency there. You don't want to, you know, have loads of different recipes and then out of nowhere, I don't know, you've got something like a dog post, for instance, which is basically my page. But I think people understand the randomness of my page now. But if this is what your page is for, and this is, as a sales advisor, this is your page as a sales advisor for Thermomix, having a random picture of your dog is going to be like, well, what the hell's that doing there? Yeah. It's not going to make sense. So just make it make sense to yourself, and hopefully that should come across when you're pushing it out on Instagram and you're pushing it out to your audience or to organic growth. Use tools that you know make sense to you. So I talk about Splice as a great editing app because it makes sense to me. But I know some people will use Instagram just to edit their reels in there, or they'll use TikTok and then download it and push it into Instagram. So use stuff that makes sense to you. Alternatively, if you don't want to edit loads of different things, when you are making certain parts of your recipe, just take a little quick snapshot, a 2-second video of each bit, and you can just merge them all together.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest pieces of advice that I've ever received is to just start.
That's it.
Like, nobody's watching you. There's no deadline. There's no KPI. So just start and see what you get. If you don't like it, you can re-record. It's
absolutely
totally fine.
And you know, even if it goes to just one person, get on WhatsApp, message all your friends, go and like it. Go and comment on it. That's what I used to do before I was on Bake Off. I was like, guys, I've just posted, okay? Go and do it. Like it right now. Get it to double digits at least. It's fine. But I think that's the most important piece of information and advice, is just to start.
Yeah.
If I look back on my first reel that I ever made, I've now archived it because I was so ashamed of it. I swear to God, it's so bad. Like, I still go through I still scroll all the way through and I'm just like, Rubes, what on earth are you doing here? This just does not look good. And I will then archive it. But that's called growth.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think you have to get to that point where I'm like, now I like my videos now, but will Rubes next year like the videos? Probably not. And I'll probably have to go through and archive them again. But if you just start and you just get comfortable and you just start to see what works for you, you know, you'll grow and you'll continue and it will get better as it gets on.
It's like looking back at your profile pictures on Facebook when you
Don't.
first started.
Mortified. More foundation that was like 5 times too light for my face.
Oh God, yeah.
Don't. It makes me cringe when I think about that.
So speaking of Instagram, it's obviously your main platform, and it's particularly since TikTok has been around. Instagram has really upped their game with their features. So what is your favorite feature right now
on Instagram? So one of the things that I love about Instagram, and I think is a really great way at understanding who your audience are, really make the most of stories. But when I say make the most of stories, really make most of the additional tools that they have in stories. So you can have things like polls put in there. There's like, I don't even know what you'd call it, but there's like that smiley face bar, the reaction bar, or there could be you know, the little quiz bar, or ask me any questions. Really make the most of those additional stickers that they have on those stories, because they really help build your engagement, but they also help you to build understanding of who you're engaging with. So I love to do it when I'll probably do it today when I'm going to say I'm posting on Instagram today to hold myself accountable to actually post, okay? But say when I post on Instagram later today, because I haven't posted in a little while, I will make sure that I use those features, because people will most likely to engage in those features. And if Instagram can see that my audience are engaging in my stories, it will help push my stories out to more of my audience as opposed to a really small portion. So really simple things like, you know, I think the poll one is super easy, like a yes, no, do you like this one, do you like that one, should I wear this, should I wear that? Really simple ways of just understanding your audience and starting to see what they like and what they're after, what do they want. And it just gives you another opportunity to be able to talk to them directly, as opposed to en masse. You can really start to hone those relationships and also get to know someone directly. So you just have to, I think, use the tool that works for you best. Like, Instagram can be an absolute minefield. And there have been times when I will complain about Instagram till I'm blue in the face and say, I'm never doing it ever again. I hate it so much. But also, if you use it in the right way, it's so powerful for yourself, for your brand, for what you're trying to do, for the platform it can give you, for the message that you're trying to put across. Just use it in the way that you feel comfortable with, I think. And the more authentic and the more yourself you can be, I think the easier and the more fun you can have with it.
100%. Yes.
I think that is the real key with Instagram. I think that's what made me start to enjoy making content, as opposed to being forced to feel like I have to make content. The minute that you can find some enjoyment from what you're doing, and it makes it so much easier, then it's not a chore and it's not a job. It's because, oh, I love what I'm doing and I want to share it with loads more people. And I think that's what works best.
And particularly on stories, the tools that you have available are great, but you can also see, like you mentioned earlier, the insights into them, and you can see, actually, does this tool work or does it not work? And you can adjust your content, which is the biggest part.
Absolutely.
Right? Wonderful. I'm sure, like, that's such great sage advice. I'm sure all the team leaders that are watching now are furiously taking notes. But some of the questions that we received are actually also about our own social media platforms. And considering that Paige was our social media moderator, going back to comments and questions and just taking care of our social media, I thought she could give some great insight into this. So Paige, can you tell us a little bit about what is the most common query that you come across?
Sure. So our most common query is when we repost stories. So we share everyone's stories at the time, and customers are wanting to know what the recipe is. So we will send them the cookie dough link, or we'll just refer them back to your stories. So like for a created recipe, for example, and that is something that really inspires them, and you get so many responses on those.
And that's a great way for advisors and for team leaders to also grow their fan base. We've just hit 85,000 people on Instagram, and when we share content that you guys produce, the likelihood is that we will link to your profile, so customers can go and click on your profile and they can follow you based on your content as well. So it's really good that they're engaging with us. Speaking of engagement, you go back to all of our comments and queries. So what's your strategy on going back to all of these people?
It's just making the responses personal, like make them feel like a human and not just another customer. If you make your response too structured or repeat the same words, they just feel like you're copy and pasting it. And then to them, you don't care about them. So just make sure you build that like personal relationship with them. Have a little joke with them if you can, use emojis, and just like change up your response is what I tend to do. Yeah,
it's great because you're showing the person behind the brand. And it's the same for advisors at home. You've created a whole brand for yourself, so show the person behind you. And it will always increase your engagement. So before we finish off, I've got one more question to ask both our lovely guests today. And what is your recommended cookie dough recipe? Ruby, we'll start with you.
I'm going to be very biased and say it's one of my ones.
Oh, of course.
Is that bad?
No.
Sorry about that, guys. Just tooting my own horn there. No, so quite honestly, I absolutely adore cherries. And one of the recipes that I did was the cherry and almond pie. And that for me is just sensational. It's so good and it's so easy. And the thing I really love about that recipe is that it comes in 2 stages. So you can get your pastry done maybe the day before or a few days in advance. You can keep it stored in the freezer for when you want to come and use it. The cherry filling is really adaptable, very versatile. You can use tinned cherries, you can use fresh cherries, you can change it up so it's more of a seasonal approach. You know, with summer coming, we can only wish summer's coming soon. You can, you know, add it, I wish, you can add in some summer berries into it. So it's a really adaptable one. But mostly also because I love custard. So if I can drown anything in custard, it's an absolute win for me. So that recipe, since I've done it, I've probably made it about 10 times since then. That's no lie.
I have a question for you then. So, are you a hot custard or cold custard person?
I don't care, Raquel. If there's custard going, I'll take it whatever way possible. It can be from the tin, it can be fresh, and it can be, I don't care. I think I get that from my dad.
Oh, okay.
I caught him once, red-handed. I was coming down from breakfast when I was at home once, and I caught him eating cold custard from a tin, straight out the tin with a spoon. And he turned around and said, "You only live once." So they are words that I will live by, because my dad said it, eat as much custard as you want because you only live once.
Oh, fair enough. I think that's what we're going to take now.
There you go.
Just eat as much custard. Paige, what about you?
For me, it's a spaghetti carbonara. So the first ever time I had it, it was actually by one of our branch managers, Suzanne. She made it for me, fell in love with it, and now it's something I cook constantly at home for me and my family. It's a favourite, so quick and easy.
Yum. Well, both of those recipes are incredible, and I'm sure many of the people watching at home will have not even made it or made it better or adapted it like you said. If you have, do be sure to let us know in the comments. That is all we have for you today. I want to say a big, huge thank you to both of our guests, Ruby and Paige, for joining us. We hope that you got some insights and some tips and tricks out of this. And leave your feedback and your comments, your questions in the comments below. And thank you all for watching. See you guys later. Bye.